Hi everyone, Dr. Partha Nandi. Thanks for joining me on a beautiful Tuesday afternoon. We're in Detroit and we love this time of year. It's about 70 degrees and it's beautiful. And a lot of you could be out there, but you're watching us and listening to us, so we appreciate that. Again, today we're talking about gut health again and gut health in the microbiome, right? And should we all take probiotics? And that's the question we're asking today. We'll talk about gut health. We'll talk about everything that we've been talking about why it's so important. But in addition, we'll talk about we hear about the microbiome. Is it necessary to be taking probiotics? And also, is there any harm? Are there any harmful effects of taking a bunch of probiotics? So I appreciate all of you joining us. Let us know where you're joining us from, and if there are any questions, we'd love to answer them. So again, Dr. Partha Nandi, talking about the gut microbiome today. What we're going to do is tell you, hey, what the heck are probiotics? What are prebiotics? How they help? What are some common probiotics, and also some supplements? There's something called symbiotics. We'll tell you about that, and also again about the dangers. Are there any dangers of taking probiotics? Because everybody thinks, well, I'll just take a probiotic. It's over the counter, no big deal, right? So I want to let you know that not everybody needs to take probiotics every single day. So again, welcome all of you who are joining us. Again, let us know where you're joining us from. Any questions you want us to answer, let us know. So welcome. I'll get right into it. So we talked about probiotics. We talked about gut microbiome. Remember, the gut microbiome are the microbes in the lower intestinal tract, right? So the colon helps us. This helps us to digest food, help us fight all kinds of harmful substances and situations in your body, and also help you with your regulate your immune system. We talk about your immune system. We've had a crisis of COVID for the last 2 or 3 years, and we want to talk about immune system. The gut microbiome is super important for that. And all of us have good and bad bacteria in your intestines. So what we want to do is accentuate the good and try to decrease some of the bad bugs. And that's the whole idea behind the microbiome. So again, very important. It's really important for us to understand that there's these big words that are put out there. What is the microbiome, and what are probiotics? So I talked about the microbiome, trillions of bugs in your intestinal system, bacteria, yeast, protozoa, all kinds of viruses that are working in concert with your body. What are probiotics, right? Probiotics, we think of bugs that can cause disease, but probiotics are this beneficial, good bugs, good bacteria that can actually help you. So that's important to understand what probiotics actually are. Combination of often bacteria and yeast, so microorganisms that naturally live in your body. How do they work? Or how do probiotics work? The main job of probiotics or good bugs is to maintain that balance. Remember, there's a concert of these trillions of bugs in your intestinal system, right? And what you want to do with them is to accentuate the good, so you're getting all the products from the good bugs. So when you're sick, often you have an imbalance of the bad type of bacteria, and you don't want that. You want to get the good kind of bacteria, and you're off balance. So you want to be able to have this good bugs or probiotics help you to fight off all the effects of the bad bugs and restore balance. Everything in your body is about balance, right? You want to make sure that you create balance in every part, including in your microbiome. That's what probiotics really help you with. And how can probiotics help? It actually creates, again, it can help you create the products that your body needs, help support the cells that line your gut, and help you, for example, even to absorb or utilize medications. And probiotics have been shown to have protective substances that can help your body with multiple functions, including your immune system. It can help, for example, people that have diseases like Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis. It can help those patients. So we know that those are autoimmune conditions. We know that probiotics can help that. In certain parts of the world, that's all they really use for some of these diseases. We talk about stool transplants, where you use the stool, which is a trillion member army, right, of gut bugs that are then transplanted into people with diseases, and that helps you to be able to say, okay, that the army of good bacteria and organisms go in there and try to help fight diseases. So again, probiotics can help with inflammatory bowel disease, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis. Probiotics can also, in some studies, show that you can decrease the number of colds, decrease other infections, and so it's being studied for multiple other conditions. So lots of people who suffer from all kinds of other conditions, the probiotics can help with all of those. And what are some of those? Right, yeast infections. It can help with lactose intolerance. Possibly, we're studying those skin conditions like eczema, respiratory infections, other allergies, asthma. So there's a plethora of stuff that probiotics can help you with. And so people say, well, probiotics, right? I got to get it from a pill. I got to go to a store and get it from there. Not so. You can get it from food, right? So people say, how can I get probiotics from food? Very, very important. I'll just say a quick hi here. Faye Rogers, hello, how are you? And you're in Troy. We are. Oh, that's nice. She says that she's one of my patients and she feels lucky. Well, thank you so much. I feel lucky to be taking care of you. Oren Gutman, Angie Spees, and Laura Probert, thank you for joining us. I'll jump right back into it and I'll answer some of those questions in just a minute. But how can you get probiotics from food, right? It's really important. You can absolutely increase the good bugs in your food, and fermented foods, particularly like yogurt, pickles, can get all these good organisms, good bugs in your body that can benefit you. Buttermilk is one, right? I'm from India, and people have buttermilk all the time. Sourdough bread. Lots of my family members love sourdough bread. My sister loves sourdough bread. Cottage cheese, tempeh. It's spelled Tempeh. Fermented sauerkraut, right? I mean, my father-in-law loves sauerkraut. Kimchi, miso soup, the works, right? There's so many of these, right? Products that are in your food. Very, very important to understand. So it's not always pills. You have to spend a bunch of money. You can get it from your food. And that's what, you know, hundreds of years ago, we didn't have refrigeration. How do we preserve foods, right? We often had these great fermented foods that helped us to keep through winter or when we couldn't get food, right? But they also gave you great bugs that can help your immune system, help your health in general. But what about supplements, right? We also know we can get them. It's okay to get them from supplements and not just food. Probiotic supplements are a great way to be able to add good bugs in your system to sway the balance, right, of the trillion bug army towards good stuff coming in your body. So probiotic supplements, you can get it from, sometimes there are foods that have it, drinks, you can get them in capsules and pills and powders and liquids. There are multiple ones. So you got to really talk. I would talk to your physician or your healthcare provider, your pharmacist, because it's really difficult, right? Really difficult to be able to sometimes decipher it. And we'll go into more details and further lives about, hey, how do I pick up probiotics and figure out which is a good one? In fact, I might make that the next live. Like talk about, hey, which probiotic is good and why should we pick it? Should we pick 20 billion or 100 billion? Because it's all Greek to most people. Like they don't know what the heck is going on because all these things are thrown at you. So it's very important to understand what those mean. But in the meantime, please ask your pharmacist, please ask your physician or your healthcare provider what that means. Now, there's this thing called synbiotics, right? Synbiotics. I would like to tell you that, hey, you know what? While we're talking about this, I have a great superfoods cookbook that talks about some of these great products that we just talked about, meaning foods that we talked about. My team will drop a link if you're interested. The Superfood Cookbook is awesome. It's some of our go-to recipes in our own family that we use every day to be able to get great foods into our body, which is healthy and whole foods. But they'll drop the link in just a minute. But let me continue on. Synbiotics, S-Y-N, not sin as an S-I-N, but synbiotics, synchronizing or coming together, synergizing biotics, synbiotics. So what happens is that when you have a supplemental product that combines a probiotic with a prebiotic called a synbiotic. And remember, prebiotics are the food, we've talked about this before, are the food for the good bugs, which are the probiotics. So this food for the good bugs help the bugs to be able to do what? Proliferate. If you've got trillions of a microbiome, right? Bugs in your intestinal system, and you put several billion in there, well, it's going to take a while for it to really take effect. So that's why you need food, right? And that's what prebiotics do, give the food for the probiotics. When they put together into a package, into a supplement, then you have symbiotics. And it's important to understand that prebiotics along with probiotics are a really good combination because they give the food for the good bacteria. They help feed the good bacteria, keep them healthy. Prebiotics examples includes inulin and inulin. You may see that in packages, pectin and resistant starches, right? So they're complex carbohydrates that really feed the bugs in your gut. Very important to understand that because carbohydrates, they love the bugs. The microbiome loves the carbohydrates to be able to do what? To feed itself so it can proliferate and give good stuff. And then, we talked about postbiotics. Those are the products that the probiotics make that really affect, so they can make short chain fatty acids, they can make neurotransmitters. So some of the feel good hormones that are released may come from your gut, may be produced by the microbiome, and so you want to be able to increase those bugs to be able to have it. And so, people talk about, listen, I feel like I'm depressed, I feel like I have an addiction. One of the things that people who have addictions are never counseled on is their diet. Are you actually doing enough to be able to change your microbiome? Imagine that. You're an addict and you go to a rehab center, right? And nobody tells you that your diet matters. Sometimes when you go to a rehab center, the first thing they give you is some sugary treat as a welcome, party, and then multiple parties with sugar because they say, well, we don't want to feed your addiction of whatever substance. Let's say, you're addicted to some drug, right? Let's say it's an opiate. Let's say it's some other drug that's illicit, but they give you sugar. Well, the sugar, especially simple sugars, will crush your microbiome, absolutely crush it. So if you crush your microbiome, guess what happens? Then you're not getting the products that can help you beat your addiction. This is the crux of it. We are not going to the root cause of these problems. And what we're doing instead is, hey, we're putting a Band-Aid. We're going to, give you some stuff and get you on your way, and the problem continues. So it's important to know that the microbiome produces some of these neurotransmitters that can change your behavior, change your thoughts. One of the things I always tell my kids, your thoughts may not be your own. And what that means is not that someone's taken over your mind. No, it's just that when you think, it's what? Two neurons coming together. And often the chemicals that are in your brain, that the neurotransmitters can control what you're thinking, how you react to a certain comment or a certain type of behavior. We talked about people having rage, people having thoughts of sadness. It may not be that you're in the wrong state of mind. It may be you don't have the right microbiome. So it's really interesting to find out if you can really change your microbiome through your diet. We talked about foods that are probiotics, right? Or supplements. It can change the equation for so many things. It can change how you react to certain stimuli. If you're having a test, an important something going on in your life, right? You want to be able to get whole foods, lots of fiber, and you want to get complex carbohydrates and good sources of protein. Why? Because if you give your body crap, especially your gut and your microbiome, you may not be able to get the right combination, to give the right neurotransmitters and right chemicals to be able to think properly, react quickly, right? So athletes get nutritionists to be able to explain them what to eat, not just because it's quote unquote good for you, because what happens in your gut affects your whole body. So very important. So we're talking about symbiotics. Now we're talking about probiotics, right? Probiotic bacteria. There's lots of bugs and bacteria that can be considered probiotics, but there are two main ones. Very important to understand that. Two main ones that we see in supplements, and that's Lactobacillus and Bifidobacterium, right? Bifidobacterium, Bifidobacterium. And when you look at probiotics, right, you look at the labels, you'll see these. That's why it's so important to understand, right, what this is all about, what probiotics are all about, what it really means, because these terms are thrown at you and you don't understand what they mean. Those are some of the two most common probiotics. They've been studied extensively, and really help people to be able to regulate and give a better balance of good bugs. And also yeast. Good yeast are also there. One of the most common ones is Saccharomyces, Saccharomyces. Saccharomyces is one of the best yeast that's found. Again, we're talking about probiotics. We're talking about probiotics and also, probiotics in food. Please look at my Superfoods cookbook. Lots of great recipes, whole foods that can really help change the equation, including that of your microbiome, that of your gut. So one of the things I talked about in the beginning of this live, anybody's joining me right now, hey, are there any dangers, right? Is this a panacea? Is it like nothing can ever go wrong? Well, typically very safe, right? Typically very safe. But what can happen? Remember, these are considered dietary supplements, so they're not drugs, so the FDA does not monitor the manufacturing of probiotics. Very important. And usually it's safe, but there's some risk. What can the risk be? You can develop resistance to antibiotics, right? You can also develop harmful byproducts, right? Harmful byproducts from the probiotic supplement. Many type of probiotics are on the market. Some have been studied, some have not. So really important to your research. As I'm thinking about it, I think we should make that our next live to talk about probiotics, give examples, right? And understand, hey, is this good? Is this bad? Nothing's perfect, right? You have to understand that. So remember that there also, sometimes you can have problems. Many of my patients say, I took probiotics, I'm getting some stomach upset, gas, diarrhea, bloating. So if you have that, back off, right? Back off and then talk to your doctor, talk to your healthcare provider and say, is this the right one for me? Some people have small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, SIBO. Let's get that treated before you put more bugs in your system, more probiotics. So it's not a panacea. So very, very important. All of you are who are watching, I appreciate you coming on. Listen, it's a beautiful day, at least in Detroit, wherever you are. I want to give you some thoughts before answering question. Good bugs or the microbiome, just a natural part of your body. Very, very important, eating a well-balanced diet. Whole foods, right? Not foods that you don't know where they came from, foods that you know where they're coming from, whole foods, and do something extraordinary. Go into your kitchen, actually make the food. Lots of fruits and vegetables, lots of fiber. Prebiotics, the food for the probiotics, have a lot of fiber. It's really important to know that not all probiotics are made the same way. Not all of them behave the same way. So there are some risks. You have to really understand what you're doing. One easy way to start, hey, why don't you introduce things like yogurt, sauerkraut, foods that can really be useful for you. Again, my Superfoods cookbook has some of those. And then trying to get it from food sources to me is always better, right, than getting it from a supplement, which may be in a factory somewhere. So really, really important. Speak to your doctor before doing any supplement, anything that you don't know what it's all about. So let me answer some questions, and so Warren says, what kind of substances are worse for the microbiome? To me, Warren, great question. And tell us where you're joining us from. When you put in simple sugars, right, to me, like candy, simple processed sugars, even if you have a giant slice of pizza, it's like an atomic bomb went off in your abdomen, in your intestinal tract. Your microbiome is like, here it comes. And, it's trying to escape, but it can't because it's everywhere. So really important to have whole foods. Again, lots of fruits and vegetables and high fiber. Angie Speed says, what are your thoughts on apple cider vinegar? I think it's great. Apple cider vinegar is another food that has naturally fermented products. The only reservation I have is if you have heartburn, if you have GERD or acid reflux, probably not the right thing for you. But if you don't, go for it. I think it's very, very good. It's very useful. It's been around for many, many years, and it's an ancient remedy. And then Laura says, there are a lot of probiotic supplements in the market. How can I decide which one is best for me? Really important. And then we're going to talk about that next week, like how to figure out which probiotic supplements. We'll take some common ones. We'll take some common products and the bugs that are in them, whether they're yeast or bacteria, and say, hey, is this the right one for me? So great question. And then Izzy Q says, JD, hello. And Warren Johnson from New Orleans. And Kay says, and I think I answered this question, do you prefer natural probiotics or store products? Store-bought. I actually love to have it from foods. If you ask me my preference, get it from food all day long if you can. And then Warren Johnson says yogurt, buttermilk. Wow, yeah, I love it. See, this is real good stuff that you may be eating yourself, and then it actually helps you to be able to improve your health. So to me, it's awesome. To me, if you can find a food you love and that can also improve your health, oh my gosh, right? It's there's no chore in eating them. So Callie says, kids and I are watching. Yay! My kids are awesome. My family is, my number one priority, and they're my biggest fans. So it's awesome. Susan Ben Karski says Sauerkraut Daily. Yeah, my father-in-law the same way. He loves sauerkraut. Lots of people, Susan, love sauerkraut. So it's a great way to be able to do what? To get your probiotics the old-fashioned way. Instead of buying them from somewhere, you can have it in your food and put it in your food. So it's awesome. D. Bay Santos, the question. My son is 43-year-old, disabled, physically and mentally, always has gut pains. What probiotics could help? What I would say to you is that I'm very sorry to hear this, but you've got to find out what's going on with him. If he has SIBO, for example, if he has other gut problems, you don't want to just blindly go and give probiotics, right? You want to be able to understand why he's having the gut problem. There may be many other reasons why. So hopefully all the testing is negative, and probiotics can definitely help. But I wouldn't just give him probiotics without knowing, could he have SIBO, or other ailments. But a great question. Thank you. Keep them coming. Faith Augustine Daisy. What is good for Gerd? Gerd is I think is a different animal, right? So I think for Gerd, really important to avoid foods that are caustic or acidic foods. You want to be able to eat foods that are not spicy. Don't eat too late at night. What I would also say, Faith, is that don't make sure you keep your stomach empty about 3 hours before going to bed. Very important, because even drinking water will make a difference. And here's the thing about GERD, also called acid reflux. Some people just think it's heartburn. It is a disease state that increases the risk of esophageal cancer. It's a finite increased risk for cancer of the esophagus. So if you have reflux more than 3 times a week, or if you're over 40 years of age and have reflux, talk to your doctor. There's a procedure called an endoscopy that can look inside your esophagus, make sure there's not any damage, take biopsies. Super important. GERD is a very, very common disease. And to me, there's an epidemic of esophageal cancer. We've got to be able to get a handle on it. And if we can screen patients, so before they go on to have changes in your esophagus, we can save lives, because by the time you get diagnosed with esophageal cancer, it's too late. So what are the symptoms? We know about heartburn. Some people just have nausea. Some people have difficulty swallowing, foods getting stuck here or here. Some people just have stomach pain. If you have any of those and it's persistent, talk to your doctor. More than 3 times a week, you cannot blow it off. Michelle Toole says, can you overdo it with probiotics? Absolutely. It's one of those things, right? It's one of those things, Michelle, that people say, oh, the more you do, the better. Not true. If you pound yourself with too much probiotics, too much gut bugs, it can give you gastrointestinal upset. So some of my patients say, I took this probiotic, it has gazillion, CFUs, and I'm just having abdominal pain. And so you want to make sure that you have some guidance in it. I think we'll talk about that next week. But how do you choose which probiotic? How do you choose, if a probiotic's safe or if it's causing me harm? So we'll give some guidance there. And Susan says, I'm Polish from Detroit. Awesome. So it's I have so many of my friends and patients who are Polish. So thank you so much for joining us. Hey, it was great today. Thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. And, we'll be back again next Tuesday at 5:30 Eastern, wherever you're joining us from. I really appreciate it. Remember, it's important to take the time to understand that your health is your number one priority above anything else. And to me, I'm a gastroenterologist, I'm biased, right? So I think the way to health is really through your gut. So do everything you can to keep your gut healthy. And I'll give you tips and tools and give you knowledge base, right? Science-based knowledge, not just stuff that comes out of nowhere and, I heard it from somewhere, etc. Science-based information that can help you change your lives every week. I'd love you to join me every week. And again, if you think this live is good, just please share with others. I appreciate it. So again, thank you for joining me. Remember, make healthy living a part of every day. Namaste. Thanks so much, guys. I'll talk to you next Tuesday. Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Partha Nandi. And if you enjoyed that video, you're going to love the next one. It's full of incredible information to help you start your health hero journey.